Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 5S and see how this particular iPhone holds up in the later part of 2024. Now, number one, I think the iPhone 5S is a very interesting iPhone. It did bring a lot of cool stuff to the table. Now, it's an interesting question because this iPhone may not necessarily be worth it, but it still is a really interesting iPhone in most ways. On the exterior, you'd actually be surprised at how light a phone like this feels nowadays. This phone feels like you're not even holding a phone when you're actually holding it, which is kind of crazy. So in the front of this particular iPhone, you are basically essentially getting a 4-inch IPS LCD panel on it. So it's a pretty basic type of panel. There's not really anything super insane going on here. It is a pretty basic type of experience as you probably would have imagined. So I think that in and of itself is kind of an important thing to keep in mind. This thing is giving you pretty big bezels on the top and the bottom as well. So if you are going to go through and pick up an iPhone, you are going to be seeing that this type of device is going to be giving you pretty big bezels on the top and bottom. And it's like almost like half bezels when it looks, when you look at it, like honestly. You're getting the home button on the front, which again is very, very nice. That's always a nice thing to have. But beyond that, there's not really anything super insane going on here. Lightning port at the bottom, headphone jack, and on the back side, you're getting this like 2 glass pieces at the very top with aluminum center. I do think it's a really nice looking device nonetheless. And as I mentioned before, if you are going to go through and pick up a device, this is one of those nice things going on here because it still feels like a pretty expensive phone, but it's really the internals that kind of probably throw a lot of people off. And on top of that, it's missing out on things like IP certification, no OLED display, no wireless charging, like no Face ID, basically big bezels. Like you're getting a lot of stuff on this phone that is kind of outdated as of this point. Biggest problem I have with this phone though is the lack of software updates. This device is pretty much done getting software support, and that is kind of the problem that you're going to be experiencing with this type of iPhone. And I would hate to recommend a phone to people if it's already going to be done getting software support, and that is kind of what's going on here. This iPhone is done getting software support, and it's been done getting software support for quite a bit of time. That's why I don't really think it's necessarily worth buying anymore because it's not getting any more software updates. So because of that, why would you go ahead and buy an iPhone like this when you can go through and buy an iPhone like, an iPhone 11 that is still going to be supported with software? So this is in and of itself a really, really big thing to kind of keep in mind there too. I would say on top of that, another very big thing is that with something like the iPhone 5S, the performance of this phone has started showing its age. So this is definitely, somewhat of an older type of device. It's an older type of styling of a device. And the performance of this phone really isn't going to be that great anymore either. So this type of device, you're basically stuck in this situation where it's giving you like a super old Apple A7 chip with like 1 gigabyte of RAM. And at a certain time, this device was still, worth buying. It still was a really good performing device, but not quite anymore. Like I think from that side, it's not really worth buying. So ultimately, I look at something like the iPhone 5S and I would probably tell you that this device really isn't worth buying anymore. I think this is a device that was good at one point, but it's not really that good anymore. And I would hate for me to recommend a phone to people if it's already going to be done getting software support and if it's outdated. So that's kind of what I'd say from that situation. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.